In a crowded airport, a modestly dressed man stepped into the luxurious first-class lounge. No one paid attention to him, yet his calm presence made everything around him seem smaller. In the same lounge, an arrogant businessman looked at him with disdain, unaware that he was about to receive a life-changing lesson. A surprising truth would leave the entire room in shock. New York Airport was as bustling as ever. In the VIP lounge, a middle-aged man sat quietly, dressed in a simple jacket, faded jeans, and worn-out shoes. No one noticed him, but the tranquility on his face made him stand out in his own unique way. That man was Keanu Reeves. His only luggage was a small backpack, showing no signs of luxury. Some passengers glanced at him with skepticism, while others didn't pay him any mind. No one could have imagined that this wait before the flight would deliver an important lesson about life. As soon as he settled into his seat, a middle-aged man confidently entered the first-class lounge. He was dressed in an expensive suit, wearing a luxury watch and pulling a sleek leather suitcase behind him. Chad Williamson, a successful businessman in the financial investment sector, firmly believed that appearance determined a person's worth. The moment he spotted Keanu, he smirked. "Strange to see someone like this in a VIP lounge," he muttered, just loud enough for those around to hear. A few passengers chuckled in agreement, while others remained silent. Keanu Reeves didn't react. He simply shrugged, as if he was far too familiar with comments like that. After a few minutes, Chad couldn't hide his curiosity. He turned to Keanu and asked with a half-mocking tone, "So, what do you do for a living? I assume you're not an investor or a CEO." Some passengers began to take interest in the conversation. Keanu smiled gently and replied, "I'm just someone who does what I love." His indirect answer unsettled Chad. He frowned, unable to understand how someone who didn't flaunt wealth could remain so composed. Chad chuckled, shaking his head. "You seem easily content. But in this world, if you don't show others your worth, they won't care about you." Some passengers nodded in agreement, while others continued listening intently. Keanu responded calmly, "True value doesn't come from what others see. It comes from how you see yourself." A moment of silence filled the lounge. Those simple words carried a profound truth. As the lounge staff began serving drinks, a server approached Keanu's seat with a respectful smile. But before she could speak, a voice called out from behind, "Keanu Reeves? I can't believe it. It's really you." Every passenger turned to look. A distinguished-looking middle-aged man walked toward them, his eyes filled with admiration. It was Richard Maxwell, one of the wealthiest and most influential figures in the tech industry. With genuine excitement, he extended his hand to shake Keanu's. "I'm a huge fan. What you do for the community is truly admirable." Chad Williamson was stunned. His confidence vanished in an instant. He looked at Keanu, then at Richard, unable to process what was happening. Just a minute ago, he had assumed Keanu was someone unworthy of first-class luxury. Now, one of the most powerful businessmen in the world was shaking his hand with deep respect. Keanu looked at Chad, his voice calm yet piercing. "Value doesn't come from status, but from how we treat others." Chad froze. He had always believed that wealth and status defined a person. But Keanu, a man who had everything, had no need to flaunt it or prove anything. His composure made Chad uneasy. He was used to using his wealth to assert dominance over others, but now he was the one feeling powerless. Keanu's words weren't elaborate, yet they stripped Chad bare. He began to question, what is true success? Had he been mistaken all along? His false sense of confidence was slowly crumbling. For the first time in his life, Chad felt the need to reflect on himself. Chad recalled how many times he had judged people solely by their appearance. He had assumed Keanu didn't belong in this exclusive lounge just because of his simple clothing. But now he realized he was the one who didn't belong. Not because of money, but because of his attitude. He had always believed confidence came from success, but now he saw that was just a facade. Keanu had nothing to prove because he knew his worth. If someone needed to constantly assert their importance, perhaps they weren't truly important. Chad's arrogance hadn't made him stronger. It had only masked the emptiness inside. For the first time, he felt ashamed of himself. He understood he had two choices: continue as he was, or change to become a better person. Chad looked at Keanu, for the first time with sincerity, without arrogance. "I was wrong. I'm sorry," he said, his voice quieter than usual. Keanu smiled. "I don't need your apology. What matters is what you learn from this." Chad was silent. For the first time, he realized that apologizing wasn't weakness. It was growth. He had once thought success was about being better than others, but now he understood that true success was understanding oneself. If he didn't change, his life would remain a meaningless competition. "I will try," he said. And this time, it wasn't just empty words. He knew this was only the beginning, but at least he had realized the need for change. And for the first time, he wanted to be a better person, not for anyone else, but for himself. As the boarding announcement was made and passengers started heading toward the gate, Chad remained seated, deep in thought. He watched Keanu interacting with the lounge staff and passengers, always calm and respectful. He had always believed status earned respect, but today he realized that character was what truly commanded it. Keanu didn't need to prove anything. His essence spoke for itself. Chad felt he had spent too long living in a world of pretense and empty competition. He exhaled deeply, for the first time not feeling the pressure to prove himself. He stood up, understanding that change was never too late. This moment in the lounge wasn't just about waiting for a flight. It was a turning point that changed Chad's life. He had learned a lesson no business book could teach, no seminar could explain. Success isn't about what we own, but about how we impact the world. A person may be wealthy, famous, and powerful, but without kindness, they are nothing more than an empty shell. Humility and kindness cannot be bought, yet they are the most valuable things a person can possess. Chad understood that change wouldn't be easy, but at least he had taken the first step. He knew he could never be another Keanu Reeves, but he could become a better version of himself, and that was what truly mattered. In life, we always have two choices: live to impress others or live to become someone we are proud of. This story isn't just about a moment in an airport lounge. It's about how a person can change if they are willing to learn. And perhaps that lesson applies to all of us.